Hop in, you gotta check this out. Hello and welcome to another Cedar Creek Motorsports tutorial. This time we're going to be going through the all-new 10¼ inch touchscreen GPS display on the HD11. Hop in, let's get to it. As we power up the new 10-inch display from Can-Am, the first thing we'll see is going to be the typical warning, reminding us to always pay attention to what's on the trail ahead. Don't pay too much attention to the screen, as what you're driving into could prove to be fairly painful. So we'll confirm that we're not going to look at that while driving. And this will come up with the default display right here. It's in kind of the split screen mode. We have all these options on the right and then a basic gauge display on the left that gives us basic information like what engine mode we're in, our mile per hour, what gear we're in, voltage. And then we have our odometer as well as our trip meter on the bottom there. And if we press and hold either of these options, we can cycle through its different trips, as well as if it's going to be displaying the trip for hours or miles. Just by pressing and holding that, we'll change that over. Same thing with the odometer. You can switch it on over to show you how many total hours are on the machine. Now, if we drag this little bar over to the right, we will get a much larger gauge display. It also gives us a center gauge icon right here. If we press and hold that, it will go away. If we press and hold the center of the screen again, that will bring up a compass, which is super nice to have just front and center right there. So if you are out on the trail, you got a big ranch that you're working, this makes it very easy to know what your cardinal direction is. And it kind of moved all of our information just to make it a little more spaced out to utilize the entire width of the screen. And same thing here, if you press and hold over the trip meter, you can cycle through its different metrics, and same thing with the odometer as well. And then to get back to that split screen mode, you can either drag that bar back across or you can hit that applet button in the bottom right hand corner. Now this will bring up all of the applets that are installed on here. You have some basic functionality with your phone where you can pair your phone via Bluetooth, and then you can make and receive calls through this dash. You will need a headset that is also paired to this dash to actually make the calls and get more functionality there. And then we have our camera right here. What's really cool, because we are in the Lonestar model, it not only shows us a rear-facing camera, but you also have a front-facing camera as well on the Lonestar model. And then here we have the vehicle statistics. This is going to default to showing you the current ride. So if we were driving around, it would let us know what our average speed, how long we were driving, how far we went. In the top left corner, we have that little back arrow. This is where you can view your trip meters as well. And then in the top right corner, you can hit that little 3-button icon, and that will allow you to get the option to clear the trip. You can do that for trip B as well. And then under the vehicle settings tab, this is where you're going to be able to customize all of the drive modes. So you have some preset modes, normal, work, and sport, and then you have 2 customizable ones. But you can customize each of these modes just by highlighting it, going to edit, and then you can change all of these settings. You can change what the engine mode is from normal, work, and sport. You can change the power steering sensitivity, the differential mode, as well as the rear diff lock. And there is the button on the dash where you can select to have 2-wheel drive. That will automatically change the differential mode no matter what drive mode you have this set in. If you just select you want 2-wheel drive, it'll automatically go to 2x4. You can hit that button again, it'll go back to its 4x4 options. And because this front differential has their smart lock technology, you do get 2 different front differential modes, and that's going to adjust how that front differential locks up depending on throttle inputs and the load on the vehicle. And you have the option to fully lock out the rear differential, or you can unlock that and it's only going to spin one of the rear wheels. Now, if you liked these settings that you changed, you can choose to save it as the custom 1 or the custom 2 mode, which would then have all that loaded into one of these modes right here. And if we go to this little plus icon, this is going to be their health center for the vehicle. You have some basic vehicle information like your VIN, what kind of hardware and software that this is running. And what's really cool is you have this maintenance center, which is going to tell you when your next vehicle scheduled maintenance is. And once you reach that, it does have the reset maintenance button right there. Another cool thing is if there was any diagnostic fault codes, this is where that would pop up so you can get a better idea of what's going on with the vehicle if you run into any issues. Now as we head on over to the Preferences applet, the first tab that's going to be open is the audio settings. This is where you can decide to have the audio playing either through a paired headset or the speakers. Because this is the Lonestar edition, we do have the JL Audio Stage 4 6-speaker audio roof on here. So we'll keep that to default to playing through the audio roof. You can change the balance and the fade of the audio roof if you want to kind of tune where the sound is coming from. And then you do have the option to configure the audio. So let's say we added a subwoofer to this. This is where we would allow the system to know that we added in a subwoofer so it can send the right signals out. Under the display tab, this is where you can change the appearance of the display. You can choose from a light or a dark theme, or you can have it set to auto where it's going to detect ambient lighting conditions and adjust it accordingly. And then you can adjust the brightness of the display itself right there. Under the Bluetooth tab, this is where you'll be able to pair your phone via Bluetooth or one of your headsets. Can-Am does have their Vibe communication system, which will add a bunch of functionality, especially if you have your phone paired to this as well. There's a lot of cool functionality with the new Can-Am Vibe communication systems. And then you can pair to a Wi-Fi network or your phone via hotspot. Now you'll want to do this if you want to over-the-air update any of the maps, which we'll get to a little bit later. And one more thing with the Wi-Fi, it does need a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi signal instead of the 5 gigahertz signal. So it does require a little bit different of a network to connect. It will not work with a 5 gigahertz signal. Under this general tabs, this is where you'll be able to change the units from metric to imperial. You can change your language. You can also adjust the date and time and decide what type of clock you want, if you want it on a 12-hour clock or the 24-hour. You have the software update option as well. That's where you will need to have the Wi-Fi connected. You can reset to the factory settings. They have this little About tab. This is more about the GPS maps that are built into this display. And then you have your location setting here as well. You can choose to share it with other groups if you want to use the group ride functionality, or you can hide that and no one will be able to see your vehicle show up on their GPS. Now this applet switcher is pretty cool. This is going to be for the steering wheel controls. So there is a button on the steering wheel that we can use to cycle through the different applets, so you don't have to take your eyes off of the trail and try and find the buttons on the touch screen. You can just cycle through all of its different options there. Now if we go back, you do have the option to add the media as well as the cameras on there if you want more options for cycling through, or you can take those off of there. Or you can take those off of there if you only want 2 applets to sort through from that button, or you can add all of them in there as well. And then you can adjust the order of these so you can have it set up in the exact order you want depending how you like to use your machine. Another cool feature with these steering wheel controls is the ride settings. So on another button on the steering wheel, it's on the left hand side of the steering wheel. Instead of switching through the applets, this is where you can go through a bunch of the ride settings. So you can decide if you want volume to be controlled through that button, or your different drive and engine modes, power steering and differential modes. And on the left hand side of the screen, there is also a selector button where you can cycle up and down through the different options for each of those settings, so you can customize it and then select OK to get that to disappear. Now under this Maps tab right here, this is where you can see what regions are downloaded onto this display. You can also check for updates to get the most up-to-date maps. And then one of the best features for this new 10-inch screen is going to be the built-in GPS system. One of the best features on this new 10-inch display is going to be the built-in GPS system. This is going to give you a bunch of good information as far as telling you where you actually are. And then you do have group ride functionality without the need for the BRP Go app. You do have to share the position, and then you can create and join other groups. So if there's other people sharing their location, they would actually pop up here if we were in the same group with their initials to let us know where they are, and they'd be able to see us as well. Another cool feature that we can't actually see right now just because I'm sitting in the parking lot at Cedar Creek Motorsports is it does have ride tracking. So if I were to drive along one of these roads, you would see a blue trail behind me showing me exactly where I went, so I can always find my way back. One important thing to know about the built-in GPS on the 10-inch display is it does not do turn-by-turn navigation. There will be a lot more functionality with the BRP Go app as well, on top of having turn-by-turn navigation. In the left-hand corner of this GPS screen, this is where we can decide how the map is going to be oriented. You can have it oriented to the front of the vehicle, always being at the top of the screen, or you can decide to always have north up on the top of the screen. What's cool is we do have a altimeter in the top left-hand corner as well. And if we go to the top right corner, this is where we'll have a bunch of options for the map system. If we hit that groups button, that's just like hitting the same icon on the map screen where we can create or join a group. We can select to have it show our ride track or not. If it's highlighted in black, it's going to be showing on there. You can choose to have a scale in the lower left-hand corner as well, and you can choose to have that altitude show in the top left-hand corner. On the bottom here, this is where you can decide what initials you want to use for other people to see when you are in the same group ride. And then right here, you can delete the track from the device so it will no longer be saved in there. And if you have your phone plugged into this display, you can use the BRP Go app where you'll get a lot more functionality on the GPS. And the last piece on this display is going to be this controls tab. This is where you'll be able to control all of the smart accessories that they have coming out for the new HD11s. They have a lot of cool light bars that will be able to be controlled right through this display. Instead of having an extra switch on the dash, you can control it right through the display. And then on the bottom of the screen here, if we notice next to the Bluetooth icon, we have this little icon right here. This is going to be their quick preferences. So if you just want to quickly change the theme of the device, or you want to quickly get to the Bluetooth pairing menu, you can just hit that. It's a little quicker than going to the applet preferences and then finding it in there. So that's your quick preferences. And then you can choose to lock the screen as well. So no matter what you do now, it's not going to respond to hitting the screen. But if you press and hold on the screen, lift up, it will unlock. Then over in the left-hand lower corner, we have another applet icon. This is how you will switch between the gauge pack and the media display. So if we hit onto the media display, this is where if we had a Bluetooth connected device, it would show what track is playing. It would give us an option to play and pause, skip to the next track, or go to the previous one. And then since we got rid of the gauges by going to the media tab, it does now pop up with the tachometer and speedometer in the lower left-hand corner. So you still have an idea of how fast you're going, what your engine RPMs are at. One other cool thing they did was add the functionality to use the voice assistant of your Bluetooth paired phone. In order to do this, you will need both a phone that's Bluetooth connected and a headset that is connected. The Defender HD11 does not have a microphone on it, so you do need to use a headset. That's how you'll be able to use the voice commands or the voice assistant of your phone. If it's an Apple, you'll be able to use Siri by pressing the button on the steering wheel. that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for the new 10.25-inch GPS display and the new Defender HD11. Make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment on this video with any questions that you might have or anything you want to see in the future. Thanks for watching. Let's ride.